Today you will discover the story of Margot and Laura. Two souls who find themselves in the midst of the difficulties that appear in life. Both meet by chance and end up developing a relationship of great affection, respect, and tenderness. Above all barriers, there is a singular, extremely fundamental element that allows us to overcome these obstacles. This is called love. He can do whatever we want to allow ourselves. Margot never imagined her life could be transformed the way it was about to happen that autumn afternoon. 2 years after the tragedy that left her a widow, she struggled to balance her sweet shop, her 2 young children, and the constant void that her husband's absence had left in her heart. Despite the burden she carried, Margot was showy, with a sculptural body, refined and kind to everyone who approached. The routine, however, was relentless, and Margot moved on driven by the responsibility of taking care of her family. Every night, upon arriving home, even though she had servants, Margot did her usual motherly task. She went to the children's rooms and kissed them, wishing them sweet dreams. After that, she ate something light and went to her room to rest. Before going to bed, she took a hot bath, relaxed, and found herself imagining her late husband, who was waiting for her in bed every time she got out of the bath. That night, Margot shed a tear of longing. One day, like any other, she was busy in the warehouse, organizing supplies for her delicious recipes, because she was a woman who loved her work and didn't allow herself to be in a comfort zone, even though she was the owner of the most famous sweet shop in the city. While adjusting the shelves, something bumped into her leg so much that she lost her balance and fell into the muscular boy's arms. Surprised, she looked up and found a grocery delivery man, with apologetic eyes and a shy smile. "I'm sorry, Miss Margot. I wasn't paying attention to this space and I bumped into you, but it was by accident," he said, removing it from her lap. She stared at him, enchanted by those strong muscles, and replied not to worry, it was an accident. She asked what the boy's name was and why she didn't know him, but he knew his name and he replied very calmly, his name was Laura and that he would be the new delivery man on that block. Laura was a very hard-working boy. He studied, and with his salary, he paid for his college administration course. As they were no longer strangers, they chatted cordially for a few moments, and Margot found herself fascinated by the young man. His intelligence and education won her over. Margot, surprised by his presence, felt something course through her body when she touched the delivery man's hand. A sensation long forgotten, a shiver that awakened something dormant inside him. He said goodbye with a captivating smile and eyes that seemed to hide secrets. But she didn't hesitate to ask when he would return to that place. Laura looked at his merchandise clipboard and confirmed that he would return to the candy store in 7 days. Something changed in the air. Margot was intrigued by the unusual presence of the handsome young man who caused and prevented her fall at the same time. It had been a long time since anyone had touched her in such a safe way. She felt a hug in the middle of those rigid arms, and her legs suddenly felt weak. The days passed, and it was scheduled that Laura would appear at the candy store to make his deliveries. Margot was waiting for him eagerly for a second conversation at the end of the stock. That was when he returned, filling his eyes with a singular shine. They talked for an hour in a very friendly way, and food deliveries became an excuse for casual meetings between them. Conversations outside the candy store evolved into quick lunches and, finally, more intimate dinners. Margot began to rediscover the pleasure of smiling, of feeling passion ignite again. Laura, in turn, with his relaxed manner, mixed with a touch of mystery, intrigued and attracted her. He shared his own life stories, and Margot felt that, somehow, they were destined to meet at that moment. One day, they arranged a beautiful candlelit meeting in a small restaurant by the lake, and Margot surprised us with an unexpected gesture. To the sound of soft background music, he stood up and asked her to dance. The two, tightly holding each other, moved smoothly, as if they were in their own bubble of love and complicity. The outside world disappeared, leaving only space for the passion that grew between them. As they had already had dinner, they decided to go out in search of some silence and calm, where they could be alone. They walked to the bank of a flower-filled square. There were some stores open around it, but in a meeting of eyes, everything stopped. People, stores, cars, everything. The first kiss came sneakily, taking that woman's breath away, and the flame of passion between Margot and Laura intensified. She, a widow who had learned to live with longing, found in his arms a new reason to smile. That night, she had surrendered to the love that came from her insides. Leaving the square, they went to Margot's house in a hurry to live that romance. Margot, already at home, entered a total silence where she could not let anything disturb that unique moment. He checked the children in their rooms, and everything was perfect. Leading Laura by the hand, they entered his room and very calmly locked the door. There was only that scenario. Soft covers and pillows witnessed a sweet meeting of body and soul. Laura loved her with as much desire and intensity as he had ever done before. His long fingers held firmly between Margot's thighs, while his other hand wrapped itself around her shiny locks, leaving her breathless. Both were lost in love, exhausted from loving. They were numb to the movements performed there, like a synchronized ballet. The bed had welcomed them with great tenderness in the midst of so much voracity. After this experience of continuous happiness, Margot and Laura continued together to embark on a romance that would most likely generate a lot of criticism and malicious looks, but according to Margot, this was easy to resolve. So that the magic of that situation would not be lost, They would continue to meet at the back of the candy store and have some secret conversations. And so, between sweets and grocery deliveries, Margot and Laura built a new love story. A story that proved that, even in the darkest moments, destiny could surprise, bringing light and joy when least expected. Margot learned that life could be sweet again, and Laura discovered that, sometimes, love reveals itself in the most unusual places, like the stockroom of a small candy store. I hope you enjoyed the story of these two soulmates, but what about you? Have you ever bumped into someone and, by chance, continued the conversation at the back of the store? If you have someone by your side, make that person happy because love is capable of working miracles. So like, share and subscribe to the channel by activating the bell, and see you in the next video.